Hey guys, what's happening? Aaron here. Well, as you can see, I'm in full-on summer mode, and that means it's time for another review. Now, for this review, I'm going to probably do one of my most favorite Kirby games of all time, besides the original on the NES, Kirby's Return to Dreamland. And wow, what a return it was, let me tell you. In keeping with my master plan, this will be the final Kirby game I review for this channel. And I think it's a pretty good game, being the last one I review, because it really has become one of my favorites in the whole Kirby series. How does it stack up? Let's dig in and find out. Thanks for watching.
I'll be the first to admit, while I'm not a die-hard Kirby fan, i.e., I haven't played every Kirby game out there, far from it, I still like to include him as some of my most favorite games I've ever played. Who can really argue with the original Kirby's Adventure on the NES? Or even some of his 16-bit outings on the super motherfucking Nintendo. But come the 2000s, and the series shift onto the Nintendo Wii, something went wrong. All of a sudden, that lovable pink marshmallow we all know and love became a ball of yarn? What the fuck? Now, don't get me wrong, I've played through Kirby's Epic Yarn, and I've even reviewed it for this channel years ago. But that's not Kirby. It's a variation of Kirby, yes, but that's not the true Kirby. Basically, as I see it, the last true Kirby game we got was 1997's Kirby's Dreamland 3. Then the series stopped. There were a few titles on portable systems in the intervening years, but not a true Kirby game. Also, Kirby was busy being licensed to the Super Smash Bros. Franchise, but since I don't play those games, I don't really care about them. Thus, fast forward to 2011, and finally, HAL Laboratory and Nintendo finally pulled their heads out of their asses and released this gem. The purpose of this review: Kirby's Return to Dreamland. Released on the Nintendo Wii, Kirby's Return to Dreamland sees a much welcome return to form for Kirby, and indeed, many of the elements from his previous games that we've come to expect. The storyline is just as simple as is the case in many previous Kirby titles. One day, Kirby is running along while being chased by King Dedede, when suddenly a mysterious vortex opens in the sky above them. A strange ship flies out of the anomaly and crash lands. So the gang, joined by Meta Knight, goes to investigate. Inside they find this strange little guy, called Magolor, who has lost 5 pieces of his ship, the Star Cutter, as well as 120 energy spheres. Kirby sets out to collect the missing pieces of the ship. You start off in Cookie Country with some absolutely dreamy music, but I'll come back to that, and off we go! The gameplay is classic Kirby, and that's one of the main things I like about it. You run, jump, suck in enemies to absorb their powers, and just generally have fun. You proceed through most stages, and along the way, you may get lucky and find some of the energy spheres hidden throughout the levels. Coming to the end of certain levels, you'll usually face off against a mini-boss, which usually isn't too tough, and provides a fun challenge. At the end of each world, you'll face off against a true boss, and sometimes things can get a little tricky. The boss patterns are easy enough to memorize though, and the worlds you travel across are vast and varied, from dreamy cloud levels to scorching deserts to underwater vastness. Once you get all the parts to repair and complete the Star Cutter, Magolor offers to take the group to his homeworld, Halcandra. Arriving there, the Star Cutter is attacked by Landia, big dragon thing. Magolor explains that this beast must be stopped, and so, Kirby, being always helpful, decides to complete the task. After dutifully doing so, Kirby is betrayed by Magolor, who is just using the group for his own evil plans. And it was all a double cross. Little bastard. The group chase off after him and end up in another dimension. Some battles ensue, but in the end, Kirby is victorious. The Star Cutter returns, and all combatants are returned to Planet Popstar. Everything is right again. Speaking of things on the graphics side, the game looks amazing. Everything from the backgrounds, to the objects and enemies, to even Kirby himself. Very vibrant colors, smooth animations, and excellent level of detail all make this game very visually pleasing. It really reminds me of Donkey Kong Country Returns, with the game playing in 2D, with very vivid and interesting backgrounds to help really flesh out each level and environment. The majority of the enemies from previous Kirby titles are present, and much like everything else, have received a major facelift as well. Kirby's enemy sucking power absorbing ability is present, and again, just as in previous titles, there are many powers to choose from to suit your playstyle, or to make progression easier. From spears and swords, to ice and fire. There's more than 20 different abilities to pick from. My favorites are probably sword and cutter, since they're easy to use and deal pretty hefty damage. New to the game are super abilities, of which there are 5 in total. These function just like their regular counterparts, but are supersized. And what comes with a supersized weapon? Super damage! Yeah! These weapons, while having a usable time limit, basically destroy everything on screen, and are super fun to use. Sometimes they'll also be used to solve basic puzzles as well. The audio side of things is also very well done. Sound effects are crystal clear, and explosions and energy effects are fitting for the theme and environments. Kirby's voice is just as silly as usual. The music, surprisingly, is also very enjoyable, with many familiar themes throughout, and many new ones as well. My favorite pieces of music in the game would most likely be the desert theme, and of course, Nutty Noon. Oh my gosh, Nutty Noon. It's something about it, I don't know. It does have a very sort of classic Kirby sound to it, and it does have some nostalgic elements, but overall, just a very nice and memorable piece of music. Overall, Kirby's Return to Dreamland is pretty much just that, a return. A mega return to Kirby's classic roots. Nintendo tried something different with Epic Yarn, and while that game was kinda fun, it wasn't the same as having a true Kirby game, which I felt Return to Dreamland is. It's the classic run around and gobble up enemies adventure we've all been playing since our childhood. And it's nice to see that some of Nintendo's older franchises are getting massively overhauled updates. It's a fantastic game, great to play through, and has top-notch presentation all around. Now, if fucking Nintendo would only get their asses moving on a new F-Zero. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, go check it out.